Call the meeting to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, it's in that track change. Okay, good evening. First item on the agenda is public comment time. If you have a comment on any of the agenda items, including the draft ordinances, I'm asking that you hold those until that point in time. So at this point, if you have any comments on something that's not on the agenda, please come up and speak. Anybody? Great. Oh, yes, ma'am. All right, Diane, how are you? Please state your name, please.
Diane Ecker, Tara Drive, South Strabane. So I have something for the agenda that I'll say later, but for now, the more I look at our zoning ordinances, and I know we're not zoning, but I believe zoning starts here.
Mhm.
I would really like us to take a better, closer look at that I-2 designation along Zediker Station Road. The fact that it abuts on parks, that it abuts on agricultural, that it abuts on residential, and such a large tract of land could allow such a disruptive industrial site to come in there. I think we need to do something better. So that's my request to moving forward.
Okay.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Anyone else? Okay. With consideration of the Planning Commission meeting minutes from February 5th. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes? Yes. Or take a minute now, if you'd like.
Entertaining a motion.
Everybody okay? Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm like to make a recommendation to approve the March 5th, 2026. I'm sorry, February. I'm looking at the wrong one. February 5th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting minutes accepted as is.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motions are approved as submitted.
Joe.
I see we have no announcements and reports. Is that still true, Kristen? Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is consideration of preliminary and final subdivision approval for the Coddington consolidation on Berry Road. Is there anybody here for the applicant? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have anything to tell us?
Sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was told. I forgot. Sorry, Mr. Bull. Please, anybody that speaks, go to the mic.
Yeah, so I'm Dave Coddington, owner of the property, along with my wife. We purchased the property back in August of last year with ultimate goal of building a new home. So at this step, we're consolidating the property so that we can kind of take the steps forward, the builder's permit and so forth. So that's what our goal is.
Okay. You've seen a review letter from TJ?
I have.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Coddington? We're gonna have TJ too, but anybody from the board have any questions for Mr. Coddington? Take your time. We got some engineers on the board. They like to look at drawings. That's not a criticism.
Let TJ go ahead.
Okay. Then you're not listening to TJ. Then you won't be listening to TJ. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, so this subdivision is a consolidation plan. It's two existing lots. that'll be joined together to form one lot. It has frontage on private street and an existing private street and an existing alley. Our office did review this subdivision prior to the meeting tonight. We did issue a letter dated February 26th. We had a handful of administrative type of comments, revisions for the surveyor to make on the drawings. I did speak a little bit with Mr. Coddington here before the meeting, and his surveyor has submitted a revised drawing to our office. We haven't had a chance to take a look at it yet and issue a new letter, but given that most of the revisions are already in progress and that our comments are relatively minor in nature, at this point, we're recommending that you consider moving this ahead to the Board of Supervisors for final approval. The biggest comment to point out would be the need for the sewage facilities planning if they do put the residents in there in the future. So Mr. Coddington's already reached out to the authority they do have public sewage in the vicinity. So I think that's how that'll be handled. So unless there's any other questions, we're recommending that this consolidation plan be moved ahead to the supervisors.
Is it just taking the one line out to consolidate then? Just that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. This is a private street also, so there are a few notes that'll need to be added to the drawing, just in reference to the nature of that private street and the fact that the township doesn't have any maintenance obligations on that road. So just wanted to point that out for the record also.
If this does get a review, we'll be looking at all, make sure everything's done. If it does get.
Right, right. So yeah, I should say that
Before
our
the
recommendation,
supervisors.
yeah, our recommendation would be contingent on them satisfying our comments here. And certainly we would do that before the board meeting. Supervisors, yep.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any structures on either of the parcels now?
There is right now. There's one existing structure. I'll let Mr. Coddington describe it a little bit, but it is a non-conforming use right now. It exists within a setback currently. So do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so when we purchased the property, there's a, I don't know, probably an 8x8 metal shed that we plan on taking down, getting rid of it. I think that's the only, it's an empty shed. So that's the only thing that's on there right now.
Fred?
Yeah, one thing, and I think just to be consistent, we wanted after the road, if it's private, I mean, when we list the road and we say 50-foot right away, then after that, put in parentheses private. And I don't know if you told Mounts that or not, but I just want to make sure that it's recorded as private, like we had to do up here at the, yeah, at the old mill. So everybody knows it's private.
We'll make sure that's out.
That's all right.
Any other comments?
I have one just a general comment about submissions like this. It's a very simple consolidation, and I don't understand why we would still have almost 10, 8 or 9 comments that have to be sent back to the applicant and to the surveyor. It's for something as simple as this, I would expect it to be cleaner when it comes in the future from the surveyor. That's all.
Understood. Any other questions for Mr. Coddington or TJ? All right, Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend consideration of the preliminary and final subdivision approval for the Coddington consolidation located in Berry Road Extension on parcels 600 and so forth, and 600 and so forth in an R2 suburban residential zoning district with the review and approval of the comments by the engineer before the supervisors meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And I apologize. Does anybody from the public have anything to say about that agenda item? No, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, TJ. Don't let me screw that up next time. Somebody put your hand up. Next item, consideration of preliminary and final minor subdivision approval for the 8th Amendment to Burkett Manor. Sir, if you would like.
Good evening.
You're such a stranger.
Yeah, really.
Please
Yeah.
introduce yourself to the
Keith
public.
Keith Higgins, Keystone Surveying and Mapping, representing the applicant. 8th Amendment, 8th time in front of the board. I'm sorry, it's not very exciting. We're realigning interior property lines to coincide with the party walls of the town home at Burkett Manor. We received a letter from Bankston. I believe the only real comment was the plan wasn't signed and sealed. Bankston will always get that. I'll always get that comment from Bankston. But I did drop off sign and seal plans tonight, seeing as there was no other matters on the engineer's letter. So I took a leap of faith.
Took a leap that if you
I
did the
did.
one thing that was on there, you
I
might be
did.
okay.
Yeah.
TJ, did you find something else in the meantime?
Oh, thank God.
Any questions for the applicant from the board? Got to give him a minute.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Gonna be coming back again?
One more time.
Good to see you.
Hey, I like coming here.
We'll give you a
Some
chair.
friendly faces on this board.
Are you just doing a paper survey or you're out there actually making sure that line goes through the party hall, not through their living room?
Right, yeah, no, physically out there locating the foundation walls, and we bring that information back into the office, and then we draw it up, and then we make sure it's on the center line of the walls.
Can't find a manhole or something somewhere?
Sidewalk.
Any questions from the board? All right. Chair to entertain a motion. Don't leave it to Jay this time, somebody.
Mr.
Come on.
Chairman,
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for consideration on to the supervisors for preliminary and final subdivision approval for the Burkett Manor as per our comments and all the lots in mention.
we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You guys let me do it again. Anybody from the public have a comment on that? No. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for getting us ahead of the real business tonight, so I'm gonna be rude and leave. Thank you.
Fair enough.
That's two pizzas next meeting.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the draft data center ordinance. And I know we have a fresh packet that we just got. And I got a chance to glance through the revisions it sent to us. That must be deeper in. Did you guys have a chance to see the email that came out today? Okay. So if you can find in your packet, this one, which was sent to us today, it has red lines in it.
One right here. This one.
Yeah, flip the letter over. There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I got you.
TJ, have you seen the red line version yet?
I saw that there was a revised ordinance that was sent by the solicitor's office this afternoon. I did not read it yet. I had CPR training at 3 o'clock today, so I did not have time to read the latest.
Mr. Chairman, we were
Yeah.
getting comments from planning commission members, like second and third of this week.
Oh, yeah. I'm not knocking
trying-
on why we, yeah.
We're just
I'm
trying to
leading up
incorporate-
to the discussion today, but yeah,
Sure,
go
just
ahead.
to make sure we're getting comments, plus comments from public. So we're trying to integrate those at the last minute.
Yeah. I wanted to say, I was going to get to that I thought it was a very good job of pulling together what just happened last week, plus the comments that came after, to put something in front of us today.
We
So
did our best.
we thank you. We thank you for that. I didn't mean to insinuate that we got it late, just that making excuses for us. I
No,
think,
no,
from this-
but we did try to, we did get a number of emails from residents. And so we try to review those when we did this. So we did not get any comments from Center for Coalfield Justice or from Penn Future or anything like that, just for the record. So.
Okay. Well, as I look through this, with the benefit of, or not benefit of not being here last week, but I see mostly a lot of additions. I do not see very many subtractions at all. Maybe one. And the one subtraction, let's see, page 15. I'll ask TJ to take a look at that because that has some engineering component to it about lighting. I'm going to guess this is addressed somewhere else is why it's probably taken out from there.
I know I had,
And those of you that were here, go ahead, Fred. What do you
I had the
I
one
do have-
comment on the lighting, that I had said not to have any lighting on any of the buildings because it's just gonna project outward. They don't have to be pole lighting projecting downward. But I don't know where that is in here. And the other question I had, in the original ordinance, it says the data center can't be built over a mine. Well, if it can't be built over a mine, you may as well get out of Washington County altogether. I don't know how reasonable that comment is, really.
We came
It can
across,
be engineered, I mean, they build a lot of stuff over mines. I just wondered whether we wanted to say that. Actually say that in the ordinance, leave up to the geotech engineer.
One of the things that I saw when I was in here, was looking at it, is on page 17, item 32B, seems to be incomplete with the removal of that clause at the bottom.
yeah, there is a cutoff of that.
That one seems to be.
If,
There are a couple of small, at the top of that page, where it says, on the bottom of the first paragraph where it
Oh, yeah,
says such
something,
as e-waste, I think the as does not belong.
okay.
Did you see that, Dennis?
I'm sorry, I was looking at what
At
you're saying.
the fourth line on page 17, the word as between such and e-waste, I don't think the word as belongs in there, the way that's.
Okay, fourth line on page 17, paragraph 30.
Yes.
Yes.
Include his plan and strategy. Maybe the four
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
out,
he's right.
Or
he's
such
right.
the
e-waste.
four comes
Yeah,
out,
he's,
such as e-waste
Yeah,
disposal.
the
Yeah,
As does not belong in there.
yeah, it does. You're correct. There's also a couple typos. I see on the first page, it has
Yes.
HOEM, it should be HOME.
Mhm.
Again, we were getting this out, trying to push it together at the
Mhm.
last minute, but it needs some proofreading also.
so one of the things, as we're looking through this, one of the things I'm gonna suggest, and we're gonna open up the comment here too, is that the board have a chance to, and the solicitor have a chance to pull it together. We have now in a track change form, we can put comments in and then get a clean version. And I'm gonna ask, should planning have, at the end of this, do we table this and planning have a meeting with the final version, or is it okay to schedule the next step?
I think what I would do at this point in time, if you haven't reviewed it at length, I always tell people it's best to just table it for a short period of time. Because right now, we can't do a public hearing this month because of we need a site to have a public hearing for the Board of Supervisors. There was an issue with that. We have to find some place to do it, but I would suggest, look it over, then we come back for a continuation or a special meeting again at sometime next couple of weeks. Once we get your input, questions, and then we can have a much more succinct and defined ordinance that protects the township and its residents. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
It does.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a
Yeah.
question? Dennis, if we don't have anything in place, and there aren't any active applications right now, but if somebody were to come in with an application, we're in a situation like
It
this.
causes a problem. It would cause a problem for us.
Okay, we could not make them adhere to what this ordinance.
There's some change in the law that occurred recently I'd be concerned about, but I think we need to move on this month.
before-
Quickly as possible,
okay.
I just for the record, I will have adopted it. Was it meeting this week? We already adopted a data center ordinance in another township. At the end of the month, we'll be doing another data center ordinance, which is very similar to this situation. And we need to move on this as quick as possible. So again, if you haven't looked it over, look it over. And maybe what we could do is come back in a couple of weeks if that's what the chair wants and what the board wants. We'll call a special meeting or something, and then we can get this ready to go. But I would like to get it adopted sometime in early April if we can.
Dennis, are you saying that, that having a meeting within, the next 2 weeks would not have an impact on the schedule of the supervisors at this point?
Well, today's the 5th, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks from now would be the 19th. That's when we originally had scheduled to have this adopted, have a public hearing. So because of some dynamics regarding a facility to hold this in, we can't do that anyway. So it would be best for you folks to have a meeting, maybe in a couple of weeks. And then we go over this one last time, have public input. Then we schedule a public hearing. Now, what I'm going to do at the end of the month in another township, we'll have a public hearing for the township supervisors. Then I always put a clause saying that the board reserves has the right to approve that ordinance at that meeting, like we do down in Union Township. So that's how I suggest we handle it here. I don't want this thing to drag out.
Well, I guess that's my point too. Does there need to be a recommendation? Well, one way or the other, I guess it doesn't
How
matter.
could you recommend if you haven't read?
Yeah, and do we, so if we do a special meeting, say, like you said, around the 19th or whatever, is that enough time for you? So if we get the rest of the comments to you,
On the 19th, you mean?
well, it'd have to be before that,
Well, keep in
a
mind,
week before that.
the MPC requires to have a public hearing. It has to be advertised no more than 30, no less than 7. it has to be advertised 2 successive weeks. So, we'd have to have a time period of, if you do it on the 19th, I'm looking at probably doing it probably the first week in April, the second week in April.
So I think what we need to do is, yeah, let's do that. Let's shoot for having something together for the 19th or whatever close to that if we have another meeting. We'll make a recommendation. We'll either recommend it or we won't, but we'll be done. Planning will be done then. So it'll be a voting meet. We'll vote.
So you'll vote on it, make a motion on whatever day you want.
Whatever day we can make that happen.
And so we can have a meeting, you can make a recommendation.
Yeah.
And then basically we'll schedule a public hearing pursuant to the dictates of the MPC.
Okay. On that version that we're gonna,
Right,
well,
so when-
probably
when-
unless they change, but
So
we can,
once, if we say the 19th you come, then I'll talk to the board, we'll go through the process of scheduling something as soon as the MPC allows us to do it.
okay.
And
So-
what we'll do, we'll have the hearing and they'll have the ability to vote to adopt it that hearing. I don't want to wait a couple more weeks after that.
So what I'm gonna say for any planning members,
Bless you.
then that we get any comments on this to Dennis by the middle of next week.
Okay.
And
Say by the
then,
12th? That's the
yeah,
week
by
from-
the 12th of next week, Dennis, and then that'll give you enough time to pull it together and put a version together
Correct, it should.
a day or two before the 19th. That's pushing it, but,
We'll get it done. We'll push it.
Okay.
to be primary.
All right.
okay.
Dennis, I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
Did any of the public comments that were made last week have enough merit to get in?
There may be,
I know what I wrote in, but I mean, I don't know whether we had, all
There's
the
some-
people that
there's-
commented there.
I think
Is there any of them,
I think the
their
one,
comments in here
I think,
incorporated?
I think the one thing about the methane pockets and all that, that came from somebody in the public initiative.
Okay.
And what we'll do I'm gonna recommend when Dennis has the clean version done, it'll at least a few days before the 19th, so we can look at it too, that we post it. And then it can come to our meeting for any other comments.
If you
Yep.
can, if you get those to me
But-
by the 12th,
Yeah,
we'll get that to you that following Monday.
okay.
All right.
And I'll recommend that we post it, so then anybody comes in, they know what they're looking at. Okay,
Tom.
Can we make arrangements to have copies of the draft that we've gotten tonight available for the members of the public so that they can?
it's fine with me. I mean, we can recommend that Kristen post that.
Okay.
Okay, can post it as it is. And don't worry about the typos. They're working on that. That's not the biggest point. But if there's redliners out there, knock yourself out. Yes.
Just circling back to your question from earlier about that.
Oh, yes.
information on-
The lighting?
Yeah, page 15.
Yes.
On page 14, paragraph 23, we have a sentence in there that says illumination from any lighting must not extend beyond the perimeter of the lot used for the data center ordinance. So I think that's similar to what was deleted and probably covers.
Stronger too. Yeah,
Probably covers that.
made it superfluous there. Gotcha. Thanks, TJ. Yep.
Dennis, one other question I
Sure.
noticed, because I know that was, the setbacks were a big thing. I noticed that they were increased from 300 to 500 feet from the property line, and then as far as residents, it went to 1,000 feet from any residentially zoned property line or occupied resident.
Correct.
So, are very favorable. My question is,
Depends on what side you're on.
well, yes, well, this is where my question is coming from. And I'm assuming it's put in there. Is there any concern about that being challenged?
Oh, they're gonna challenge it, but keep in mind, and we spent a lot of time looking at the map. When you
Yeah.
look at the map, when I say map, I'm talking about if you go to the Washington County Parcel Bureau map, I don't know if you guys go onto that or not. I use that religiously. But when you look at that map, or parcel viewer, whatever you call it, it shows you all the parcels owned by CNX or CSX, whoever owns it. The only place that I see residential structures that would be is, I guess, to the west of it, we'll call And the other place, above it, you have 136. And 136, you have some, I guess you have this trucking place and all that. So it should be a problem for that area up there. Then as you come around the horn and go south, after you come down, I guess, say, go south of 136, you have a lot of farmland and all that. So I don't understand why that would be a big issue for CNX if those properties are all farmland and just, or industrial areas. Right. I mean, so the only place that they have an issue is when you look at the parcel viewer map, and I'll say, look to the east of it or west of it, you'll see some residential areas, which we're trying to protect those residents.
Right.
Now, when you have a chance, Mr. Kafka knows I'm talking, it shows you all the different parcels. I mean, I've studied it over and over again. Range has a well site on one of those properties, parcels, I believe. There's also an old coal mine that used to be there at one time. So, I mean, I've studied it quite a bit. So I would not understand why they would make a fuss about it if the residents, in which we're here to protect everybody,
Right.
but we don't want the impact. You know, they want to use their property to their benefit. But the people have the right that have homes, they have a right to use the property to their benefit.
Correct.
So we want to make sure that those people, and again, it shouldn't be much of a fuss with those folks if you look at the ordinance.
Okay.
I mean,
That's- I
Dennis,
wasn't
let me
sure if
ask-
state-wise, you know, how sometimes if the requirements are too excessive, they will throw them out. That's where my.
Yeah, and I understand because according, people, but we have to understand here, and I gave a talk, I guess, at the Citizens Library a few months ago, at the request, I think somebody from WJPA. We cannot exclude data centers in this township. If we say you can't have data centers, then that ordinance will be stricken. But, and if we say it's too difficult, I don't know if can you all hear me, by the way? Maybe you can't. I know one gentleman here has hearing problems like I do. But if it's too restrictive, it then becomes exclusionary, and then that can be challenged on that situation. And most of this ordinance deals with, we talk about lighting, we talk about electrical power. I read an article, I saw this morning about how the impact of electricity, or impact of these data centers are on the grid. And the one state, Michigan, has a problem with their grids because the grids, Mr. Kopp, we have two engineers here. They can probably know more about this than I do, or we do, but our electrical grids are old. And the question is there enough capacity? Are they sufficient enough to handle these data centers? Now, there's two types of data centers. There's what they call hyperscale, and those hyperscales are hundreds of thousands of square feet. And there's also the other ones. Now, at the last meeting, was here, the attorney that was representing the gentleman here that comes from CNX, he said that the average data center is 200,000 square feet or 250. That's not accurate. It's actually, if you go online, you do a lot of research, the average data center is 100,000 square feet. So, but they do have an impact. So we're trying to protect the electrical grid here. We try and protect, now, what they're gonna look for is water. You know, do they have enough water from under the ground, which they probably don't. So they have to look at public water. So there's different things you have to worry about. So we have to worry about that. We have to worry about electricity. But I don't see why this is so difficult for them. I mean, we can tweak it, you know, like having a buffer. I mean, if I lived close to that property, I don't want to see a big box right next to me.
Right.
Okay.
Okay?
And that's where the conditional use can come in too. with
Correct.
this.
And there are, with regard to power and water, there are different items that are that need to be considered. For one thing, there is the ability to generate power and generate enough power. But the big problem could be the distribution of power and water. For instance, the main water line that comes to this area comes up 136, if I'm not mistaken, from the river. And if that line does not have enough capacity to push the water through to meet all the requirements, then that becomes a problem. No matter how much water you can get out of the river, if you can't deliver it fast enough through the water line, then that's an issue.
Each line has capacity. Each pump station has capacity. And you have to always determine capacity in those lines.
Yes.
But it's, and again, here's something else you have to consider. I was reading an article in the newspaper where it's Smith, I guess Fayette County, there's a situation where they're condemning property for a electric line going from, I represent Dunker Township in Greene County. So they're taking electricity from that area down to Virginia. Also have to be concerned about if they need more power, or if they need more water. The public utilities have the ability to do what? Eminent domain. Okay, so that's another thing we have to be concerned about. So, go ahead, Mr. President.
Okay, so,
I want to ask a question, since we got other ordinances for this, in Union Township. What are their isolation distances then? Are they the same as ours? I mean, 500 feet and 1,000 feet, or?
I don't,
What's other townships?
well, we did one last night. We adopted an ordinance
Yeah.
last night
I mean,
in
what
another
are they-
township. It's 1,000 feet.
So it's the same, basically, is what we're proposing.
I think it's 1,000 feet, same thing. We had no one there. We had no company, no one fussing about it. We took about half an hour to have the public hearing, and then we adopted the ordinance.
I think what everybody else needs to know as far as water is there's a 36-inch line that comes up along 136 that can supply a lot of water. And the water company doesn't look at this as a bad thing. They look at this as a big customer. And so they'll bend over backwards to sell water, 1 million gallons a day of water, potable water. They're not going to say, oh, we don't like data centers. We like the revenue we're going to get from it. And they're guaranteed, the PUC, when they have a water authority, have to guarantee that water is available to all their customers. That's what they have to guarantee as a water authority. So if this 1 million gallon a day data center comes online, they still, under the PUC regulations, have to still supply everybody that's on Pennsylvania American, that they're still going to get water. So that's something, I mean, that's a concern, but they look at it differently than everybody in this room is looking at it. I'm going to tell you that.
okay, I'm gonna open up. TJ, we're good? All right, I'm gonna open up to public comment on the data center ordinance, if there anyone that would like to speak. We're gonna run a 3-minute clock. We'll see how it goes. If 5 minutes, we'll see. Anybody? Yes, Diane? So close. You were so close.
Could be quicker.
I am concerned that we don't have a date yet for the public hearing. And it concerns me that we're thinking of pushing the planning commission to March 19th. And in looking at my calendar, I'm thinking we could get the planning together next week so that then we can get the public hearing happening sometime in March. I think the longer we wait, the more we're vulnerable. And what we really need to do is protect things. I'm very unhappy with the disconnect that has happened in getting things organized for the public hearing. We really do need to get on top of things. We need to be stringent about it. We need to make this happen to protect our residents. So.
Thank you, Diane. Yes, sir. You were right there.
Kevin Booth, 121 Zediker Station Road. My comments are with regard to both the data center and the noise ordinance. I think they go hand in hand. Some comments were made at the previous meeting that I thought might have been incorrect, but after further research, they are. So the comments are with the noise ordinance 245-181E2. If the measurement is performed based on a complaint, it shall be conducted at the expense of the complainant. That language is absurd. It's the township's obligation to guarantee health and safety and a quality of life to the residents. I don't want to have to pay for a sound study for a barking dog, loud music, or a data center that runs 24/7. That line needs to be stricken or drastically improved. And I apologize, I have a few packets for you.
Homework assignment.
I originally proposed in red line form noise language that didn't seem to make the cut. So I'm going to propose some language that goes hand in hand with the noise ordinance. And rather than read through it, you now have it. It's red line. It's simple copy and paste. I came prepared to say, adopt the ordinance with the understanding you're going to add a new section 19, renumber 20 on forward, notwithstanding other comments that were being made. But we either need continuous monitoring on properties that border this location or periodic. And the language I provided for you will address that. But it's not reasonable to have a 24/7 multi-million or billion-dollar operation and then have residents have to pay because the sound is droning on and on and on. We need to address that. I'm not going to go into the story that I told you about how sound travels in that area. I provided you 3 pictures with footages. Those are either currently happening or previously happening. So I appreciate that the setback has been up to 1,000 feet, but to be perfectly honest with you, it could be a half a mile or a mile, and it wouldn't make a difference. With the sound that travels through that valley, we need to mitigate the sound or make them responsible to do something to direct that sound somewhere else.
Just for the record, this is not Mr. Chairman, this is not a MPC situation, but we could make some of the changes and then have this up for board vote, supervisors vote for the March 24th or 25th meeting. So we could adopt that with those changes. The noise.
Okay, I mean, but again, I'd prefer that you, I mean, for the, as Dennis said, he studied the GIS parcel viewer. I don't know how many monitoring stations it would require for properties that actually border that, but it wouldn't be that many.
No. If you look at that, have you looked at that map?
I probably study it more than you because you know where I live now.
But no, if you need to look at that, people need to go on that map and look at it because it shows you the parcels they own and what the impact is going to be. And that's the reason why we talk about the fact that when Ms. Phyllis marries that issue about the 1,000 feet. If you look at that parcel viewer map, there aren't many homes within 1,000 feet.
It's not going to affect them drastically.
No.
It's not, but the difference between 1,000 feet and 850 feet is 38%, 35%. Dennis can do my math for me, but it's in the 30s. That protects 38% more of my property, which is minimal to a data center.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Tanya Hetner. I grew up on Zedeker Station Road. I came into this a little late. I was looking at a gentleman's copy of the ordinance that you were proposing before the corrections have been made that we haven't seen yet. There is one big thing I wanted to make. Not sure if anybody brought it up, but it's not just the humans that are at risk here. It's also the agriculture. Especially, the sound barrier, everything he was talking about. This, if you do your research on current data centers and what has been documented, they are showing that this not only the severe noise impacts up to 3,000 feet from the center, and it can actually go all the way up to 3 miles as the crow flies. So you are talking livestock wise, not just us that will get sick, our children that will get sick. You're in page 3, sensitive receptors. You bring up the schools, the agricultures. That's great. So it took me out of some stuff. But livestock, it can cause chronic stress, anxiety, elevated heart rates that significantly harm health and productivity. And the noise levels that most data centers are 85 to 90, most anything over 85 decibels has been shown through many agricultural research to reduce feed intake, cause metabolic disruption, weaken the immune system, lower milk production in dairy cattle, and reduce reproductive performance. So you are possibly affecting the Spring House, a family-owned business for over 50 years, a staple in our community, provides fresh farm milk, food, community activities. They're free to people to go take their families to. This could very well affect them and any other farms or homes that have horses, cattle, sheep, chickens that depend on that as a livelihood. So I would really love there be something in the sensitive receptors that addresses the agricultural history issues that this could affect and cause that to be. I did see that you have some of the things that I had about the water consumption and all that are in there. That's great because they are showing the current data centers, the documents are showing the massive concentration of extreme water consumption up to as much as 5 million gallons per day. That's 50,000 people per day. That's a city, okay? Also puts strains on local infrastructure and causes increased utility bills to build new substations, power lines, that even though they say they aren't, as you heard the other day, the president's even trying to step in on this, that the costs are being passed on to the consumers. So there has to be more strict things to address that, to make them responsible for that. Make sure it's not going to overload the grid for the residents. As you said, they promised water, they provided that, they still have to be able to access us. We should not have to bear that expense. Okay, can we restrict the zoning to heavy industrial zones and get it away from residential altogether, the schools, agricultural, and historic sites? I know we can't legally ban them, we can't stop them from coming, but can we make it more strict so that they don't want this area? You spent whatever $500,000 in grants and funding to build that beautiful community park that I rent, I attend events at. I don't want to do it if that thing's there. So what's going to happen to that? You think people are going to want to keep running it and keep attending things there? I don't think so. Also should mandate, you already have the landscaping, definitely extensive landscaping, builder architectural design standard to blend in with the surroundings. Okay. Traffic and safety measures, limit the access point to the major roads, which in this case would be 136. Require a detailed emergency response plan, including the financials of how to support and pay for this plan, because our EMS systems are already they're strapped. Okay, they need all the help they can get. They can't have to worry about taking care of this multi-billion-dollar facility also. So I just had a few things, and I know I'm going to go over my 3 minutes. So, but just I do appreciate
You're at 5 right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I do appreciate you did review some stuff, but please, I would really like the agricultural addressed because it's going to affect us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eden. Don't be shy.
My name's Kristen Prezell. I live at 307 Roop Road. It's nice that you got 5 minutes. Anyway, last week in front of a packed room, many residents raised thoughtful and important concerns. I want to echo what I said then. South Strabane needs a data center ordinance that is truly in the best interest of its residents and not what CNX wants. I would like to again ask, why were the property setback requirements decreased? I think they have been slightly increased again. That's one thing. And why was the list of eligible zoning districts expanded in the most recent draft? Is that because CNX lawyers are pushing for these changes? Which then leads to the broader question, what is the end goal of this data center ordinance? Is it the intent to establish strong protections that would make this type of large scale development unlikely in our township? Or is the ordinance being structured in a way that would allow a data center to be built on the Zediker Station property? The ordinance as currently written must continue to include robust protections to ensure that large-scale industrial infrastructure does not consume significant portions of our township or encroach upon our established residential properties. Are we actually being heard? The reason I ask is because yesterday the Pittsburgh Business Times published an article by Paul Goff titled, quote, "A former Washington County coal mine could see new life as an AI data center," end quote. In that article, it states, quote, "CNX Resources Corporation is marketing a former coal mine for a hyperscale facility," end quote. So when I hear the CNX representatives say at these township meetings that they are not planning to build a data center on that property, it would be helpful for all to hear what their intent truly is, that the Zediker Station property is actively being marketed for data center development. Just this afternoon, I came across a letter dated 2/25/26 that was sent to the Township Planning Commission you all and the supervisors. A letter that starts out listing all of the acreage that CNX has donated for township parks, first in 2001 and then again in 2025. Quick question, did CNX donate land so they would have leverage moving forward? Then the letter addresses the current ordinance draft. Let me just give you residents a few morsels from that letter. CNX thinks a 100-foot setback is more appropriate, quote, end quote. They want the building height limit to be increased from 65 feet to 80 feet. And when I see tonight, the township complied with what CNX wanted. They have moved it to 80 feet. They want the building size limit to be eliminated. You know, since data centers typically have buildings of 125,000 to 350,000 square feet, et cetera, et cetera. So if we go by what CNX has been saying, that there is no plan to put a data center on Zediker Station property, then why do they give an ounce of or care about a data center ordinance? It's an awful lot of money to be sending lawyers to be putting those letters out there. What raises the obvious question is, what is the truth? I truly feel that we residents are sitting at a poker table with the township, CNX and JLL properties, and everyone across from us is wearing their best poker face. I respectfully urge you all to prioritize the long-term well-being of us residents who have buried our roots here, not the interests of outside industrial development or from landowners that share no personal connection to this township like we do. The bottom line is this, and Mr. Maycool has stated, this township is our home. We work hard for all that we own. We have invested in our properties and we care deeply about the future of this township. Large-scale data center projects belong in areas with extensive buffers and substantial acreage, not directly adjacent to or surrounded by our residential communities like ours. Thank you.
Tommy missed my glowing remarks last week about you guys.
You made the paper.
I know and I understand how this whole process works, so I'm just going to make a couple comments. Fred, you made the comment about the mines. They actually said the data centers in Greene County, they sent a letter to Greene County saying, we don't want to move our mines. So that's stated in a document somewhere that the data centers were saying they don't want over a mine. So that's something they've said themselves. And my comment where you said, well, then you might as well count out all the Western PA. I think the problem that people have is they think that every single place should have something somewhere. Maybe Western Pennsylvania isn't the right place for data centers. Maybe it is Virginia. Maybe it's out in the Midwest. Maybe it's somewhere. Just because somebody wants to make money on their property doesn't mean we have to allow them to do it the way they do it if it affects the rest of us. I mean, there are ordinances for a reason. And one of the ordinances that we have is how big a house can be on a piece of property. So if you live in an R1, it can't be more than 25% of the property. So putting limitations on them that we want to put, I don't, and again, a house isn't making that noise. A house doesn't have the lighting. A house doesn't have the vibration that something this big is going to do. And it's going to affect, and as the gentleman has pointed out, and we all know how the sound carries in this area. I think I remember, and I don't know if anything's been worked on the vibration part of an ordinance with the sound. I know Mr. Kopko brought that up, and I think that is relevant. I mean, I am not an engineer. I'm not a sciencey person. I went to Trinity, so you know how my physics class was basically nothing. But I want to say that, vibrations, all these things matter. It all works together. And think of how many roads around, and I drive the whole county, and I drive Greene County, and how many roads are collapsing because of like the gas well stuff and the, mines underneath them. These are massive things going 24 hours a day that are going to affect us long term when we don't even know how long, and nobody even knows all the ramifications. So I would hope that we err on the side of the residents more than CNX. And if CNX wants to be a good friend, they should be worried about us too. I'm looking, the gas setbacks I think were over or 1,000 feet originally. I don't know if anybody on this board, or if Cynthia's still here, she can answer that. I thought that when we did the gas well ordinance, that the setbacks for the gas well ordinance were 1,000 feet. I thought they were 2,500. Cynthia, am I right? Yes, they were 2,500 feet for the gas wells. So 1,000 feet's less than half of that. We could be up in it if they want to play games. Let's make it 1,500 at least, so that's only 1,000 difference. But I just think, like I said, that, I'm sorry, I didn't think you guys were gonna let us talk again, so I didn't come.
You're
prepared.
almost done.
Okay, thanks. I like take all that time. But like I said, I want to go back to like Fred, like the mine thing. Like if that is something that's a danger, this is right by the railroad. There's all kinds of things that happen, and we don't even know everything yet because this is so new. Err on caution. Just because CNX wants money, we all want money. Does that mean I can open a strip club in Floral Hill? I've got a house and I've got room. Why can't I do it? There are reasons. We have ordinances. There are reasons that. I thought I'll work on that. But there's a reason, and everything we do in this community is supposed to reflect what's the best for the residents. The residents come first. There are 10,000 of us living almost in this township. There's one business to make a lot of money. So anyway, but thank you. And thank all of you for your time. I know, and again, I want everybody to know, 20 years, most of these people have given. They don't just do it tonight. They read all this stuff. They're very thorough. They are always on the side of the people. And I know you guys get a lot of slack and I give you a hard time, but I thank you. I thank you all.
Thank you, Judy. Don't let Judy touch that mic again. Yes, sir.
A lot of this was touched on.
What's your name, sir?
I'm sorry, Jeff Sigmund from Roop Road. And a lot of this was touched on already. I thought everybody did a great job, but I already got this on paper, so I'm gonna say it.
It's due process. That's
yeah.
your right. sir.
As you guys mentioned earlier, the proposed data center happens to be the area that I live in. It's literally in my backyard, along with it, many other residences here. Even if it's not directly adjoining your property or in your line of sight, it still affects all of South Strabane Township. A data center, as stated earlier, affects a 3-mile radius, which impacts South Strabane, North Strabane, Somerset Township, and if not more. And back to the gas wells, like I said, I've been a resident here 26 years, so I'm new to all this, how things work. But as far as the gas wells go, if I'm not mistaken, they had a minimum of 2,500 feet from a residence and then 300 feet from a property line. A data center is a different animal. And to reduce the footage away from the property lines is not acceptable. It should be at least a minimum of 1,500 feet minimum from a property line. Again, I brought this up at the last meeting and I'm having a hard time comprehending this. This property is listed through JAL Properties, 1,500 acres, but only 400 acres is usable, yet they still want to encroach on the property lines within 100 feet. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. But anyways, there's a reasons for the moratoriums and the oppositions in areas where these data centers are proposed. Reason being, there are a lot of unknowns in regards to environmental impact, health concerns, utility costs, noise pollution, air quality, and the decrease in property values. We are a rural community. I do not see where the pros outweigh the cons for South Strabane. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, anybody else? No.
You okay?
I'm teasing.
No, she had first.
I was teasing Jeff, not
Okay,
you.
sorry. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Leet. I'm on East Bow Street. And I don't want to repeat what many residents have already shared about noise pollution and air pollution, but I want to talk a little bit briefly about water. I'm very concerned about the extent to which this data center would use an immense amount of water. And in particular, what happens when our costs go up? They're going to be extracting a lot of resources from our community. Once again, it's a refrain we've heard before. And then there's less left for us, and we're paying the bill for increased utility costs, in particular water. And I want to pose a question to you. What provisions do you have in the new data center draft about what happens with pressure on the water supply when we get in a situation of drought? Will the data center continue to be consuming 1 million gallons of water a day while residents are told that we shouldn't water our plants or our gardens? What are the provisions for those kind of situations? I think we need to be thinking about the residents first and ensuring that that we have the water that we need. And second, regarding water, the data center uses an immense amount of it, but it also pollutes that water. And then how will that water be evacuated from the site safely? Some other folks have mentioned the risks to agricultural, communities and processes, animals in particular, but what about releasing polluted water into the ground, like into our ground, and then it polluting our groundwater? I happen to be on city water, but many in our surrounding communities are not. They rely on well water. And so what will be the impact on those folks? Anyway, those are my concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Jeff Bowles. I would like for this board to reconsider an earlier decision. Mrs. Eckert brought up a very good point. Data center ordinances are a work in progress. They will continue to be a work in progress as they continue to change, as they progress and move forward. I really would like, the changes that you received today were not that many. And I would like for you to reconsider forwarding all 3 ordinances to the supervisors for approval. And if we have to go back down the road and correct them, fix them, do what we need to do, I don't think that it's worth the risk to not do that. So I'm asking each of you to please reconsider that. My second.
Are you saying as they are now?
Yes. And when the supervisors can change them, you're just a recommending board. You recommend to us, and then we can continue to make changes. Is that not correct, Mr. Solicitor?
Correct.
Well,
We can make changes, but
Yeah.
you have to be careful how you make changes.
Mr. Bull, my understanding is what we were suggesting doing tonight wouldn't delay when you have your public hearing. Isn't that
Well, the problem is, just to give you an idea, we had originally scheduled a public hearing for March 19th. If you were at the meeting, I think, weren't you? And the fire department person was supposed to advise me by last Friday of whether that would be available. I found out this morning from an email that was sent last night that it would be available on March 19th, which causes a dilemma to schedule a hearing because I have to go through a scheduling situation underneath the MPC. So I can't do it March 19th because I just got notice, again, saw it this morning, came to the office. So I can't do anything on March 19th. It won't be feasible. So right now, if I do anything, we're looking at doing something at the end of the month or possibly the first week in April if we push this thing quick. And we can push it through quickly. But again, the problem was I can't do anything. It's not the board's fault. Just so you're all aware of it, I can't tell people what to do, but I have to follow what the law says.
Could do it on the 26th and then have the supervisors meet either after that, reschedule your 24th meeting to either the 30th or 31st.
Yeah, the dilemma there was we wanted to have a separate hearing just for these 3 ordinances or mainly the data ordinance. So everybody has a chance to speak on the record. Everybody. Yeah. And we wanted to have that the 19th and approve it at the next meeting. So we can adjust our dates and we can schedule a meeting as long as we comply with the advertising.
But I need a facility. I don't.
You know what? This is important enough. We'll have it here and everybody will stand.
Okay, but just so I'm looking, I know I have a data center ordinance to adopt on the 30th in another township, which is a Monday. So if we could.
The old saying, get her done, comes to mind.
But we have to do it so that we don't have a problem with the MPC, because if it's don't do it the right way, it could be thrown out.
That's why you make the big bucks, sir. my next comment goes back to a lot of things that I've read, concerns that I've listened to from residents and when I haven't been here, I've attended on Zoom. And there are a lot of important things here. There's a lot, but the noise is critical. And I don't have to tell anybody more than this board here how the township sometimes falls down with their responsibility of seeing to it what this board wants and what our ordinances say. And I do not believe that it's fair that the responsibility for monitoring any noise is put on the township and the township employees. That's not fair. And I haven't asked the engineer yet if he has anybody in his firm that's qualified to do that. But why should the taxpayers pay for that? And the residents sure as hell shouldn't have to pay for that if there's a problem. I would like for you to suggest that permanent monitoring stations are installed, paid for, and maintained, not by the developer, by the data center operator. And the reports be provided to the township on a monthly basis. The taxpayers shouldn't have to pay $500 an hour people to go out and survey this. That's not fair. And it's not fair for the residents to do it. And it's important. That's something we can do that definitely will protect the residents' best interest. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Someone on Zoom?
Well, we'll have somebody at the mic tell them to get ready, I guess, on Zoom, but she,
She can go. I just wanted to make sure you knew somebody wanted to speak.
okay.
Janie Deemers at Edgar Station Road. I am not going to repeat what the others have said before me, but I looked up, well, I didn't look up, I did the right to know, and I got a copy of the oil gas amendment that was August 25th of 2020. And the oil gas wells, the minimum is 1,500 feet from a residence. So I don't see why we can't, in this data center ordinance, ask for 1,500 feet from a residence as well. It's also stated in there that it's 2,500 feet from a park or a school. I also feel in our ordinance, it must be stated that the data center should make, the developers of it should build their own power grid. Ours is old, like Mr. Mako had mentioned. And so if they want to make the billions of dollars and do this investment, that dime should be coming out of their pocket. They should also be able to disclose where the water source is from and also disclose the disposal of it. That's all I have to say. And I thank you for Mr. Mako for making those changes. We're not able to see what you did in the last couple of days. So I'm hoping we can do this at the next supervisors meeting and have a hearing.
Tomorrow. But we could, just looking at the calendar while you're talking, I do apologize, but we could possibly push this thing and have a hearing at the 31st. If we move through it quickly, we can't dilly-dally that. So we could possibly, I'll have to talk to the board about doing a public hearing on the 31st of March.
And that's the Board of Supervisors
Board of
public
Supervisors,
hearing.
but we could
Yeah.
still meet on the 12th, but I can still push in the 31st at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whatever time we meet here at the township.
You're talking 12 for the planning commission?
What's
That
that?
means we, I mean, if we
19th.
really
We
have
can't,
to
we
get
cannot do a
everything.
public hearing on the 19th because of what happened.
If we
Yeah.
have to do it by 12, we have to get them stuff to by Monday.
But we could do a public hearing for the board by the 31st.
You know, if we're going to have, if they're going to make the revisions by the 12th, I mean, so that we can have actually seen them before next Thursday. I mean, we
I'm
really have to get any
suggesting, what I'm
revisions
gonna
done.
suggest is, I think what we said before. We'll schedule the public hearing as whatever suits them. If it's the 31st, great. We can, if the supervisors allow us, we can have one more meeting on the 19th. But
what
basically
I-
just to make the recommendation, because we're gonna get our we're gonna look at this, whatever other comments we want to make, get them to Dennis. He's gonna put a draft out and then we're gonna vote to recommend or not
Right, that's what
on the
I-
19th,
that's
but they're
what
gonna
I
have the
said.
hearing either way.
Yeah.
The hearing's gonna happen on whether we recommend to approve it as it is or it doesn't pass. They're gonna have the public hearing on it.
And I'll
on
I'll recommend the 31st.
The 31st is the date
6:30.
that they're gonna try and do.
I'm not gonna rely
That's
on
kind of what
Spotify.
I'm thinking.
Okay, so our intent here would be to table and meet again on the 19th.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a commenter on Zoom, I believe, Kristen.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Michael Shimko. I live in on East Point Drive. So I just wanted to make a comment about some things I heard. So a gentleman on the committee mentioned that water providers will quote bend over backward to sell millions of gallons of water per day, that they look at this issue much differently than we do, that they're not concerned with water supply per se because it is guaranteed. But we just had a conserve water order last summer. And I totally agree with him. But this demonstrates the perverse incentives at play here. Water providers will be concerned with selling water. Energy providers will be concerned with negotiating lucrative purchase agreements. Industrial property owners will be concerned with selling valuable land to data center operators who need it. So there's plenty of money to be made in data centers by those who are not common residents, who share no common experience with us residents. They appear to be concerned foremost with money, not with personal well-being. So protective legislation for residents is eminently urgent and imperative. And I would just like to close out with I'd like to suggest that any owners of land in our township with potential for data center use, like Zedekar Station, commit to forestalling the sale for such use until the township has accepted a protective data center ordinance as a show of good faith to our residents. It's kind of bizarre and baffling that that we're vulnerable and that they could potentially move forward without an ordinance. So yeah, I would like to call on them to forestall the sale until we have an ordinance for good faith. And I would just like to thank all of you on the board and committee for putting so much effort into this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
There are free signs for anyone who will put one in their yard or in a visible place. They're on the table. My name is Cynthia Rossi, Terra Hill Farm, 99 Zedekar Station Road, too close to this acreage. At the last meeting, I got halfway through a set of comments that were not in the folders that I provided. But from what I'm hearing tonight, some of the things that I suggested in the folder may not have been incorporated. So I will pick up where I left off last Thursday night. And the first part would be setbacks. Setbacks for the placement of gas wells have proven to be inadequate and in some cases dangerous. Pennsylvania's Environmental Quality Board voted to accept a rulemaking petition for further study on December 9th. The petition asks the DEP to adopt setbacks of 3,281 feet from any building and drinking water well, 5,280 feet from any building serving vulnerable populations, including schools and hospitals, which were not mentioned in, I think, draft number 3, and 750 feet from any surface water. Similar, if not greater, setbacks should be adopted for data centers, any data center or related facility, including distances between data center buildings on a multi-center site. The number of data center buildings per each 100 acres should be no more than 2. Energy sources. According to an article by Chris Heilman and Phoebe Lowe in the current issue, and I wrote this originally back in December. The current issue, which was 1225 through 126 of Forbes magazine, nuclear reactors, including gas-cooled reactors, are being designed and constructed under contract. And names like Westinghouse appear as participants, and Westinghouse's nuclear division is right out here east of Pittsburgh. A 30-inch diameter hole is bored a mile into the earth. A uranium fuel containment canister is lowered into it, and the hole is filled with water, which will be heated by the reactor to generate power. Use of such mechanisms must be prohibited in South Strabane, as the ground in question has been destabilized by both longwall and room and pillar mining. Earth disturbances, in addition to mining, include the sinking and fracking of gas wells and the construction of underground gas lines. And speaking of utility lines, the 36-inch line that runs parallel to Route 136 supplies the city of Washington, Washington Hospital, and Washington and Jefferson College. Water sources. Neither frack water nor water pumped from flooded underground mines should be used for data center cooling. Use of either water source poses contamination of groundwater, streams, ponds, and water wells used for human and animal consumption. Operators must be charged for monitoring by independent third parties of all water sources listed herein. Findings should be reported simultaneously to the township and to the operator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Thank you.
Okay, we're all done. Any other comments from the board? I'm going to assume we were discussing all three because I think we pretty much did.
I
Does
would
that
think,
sound
yeah.
fair?
Yes.
Okay. So the chair would entertain a motion, kind of what we were talking about, if anyone remembers.
Well, you
Looking
mentioned
at-
the 12th and the 19th as possible dates for us to meet again, or both dates, not you personally, but both dates were thrown around. Either next Thursday or the following.
Well, I'm gonna suggest again that public hearing date is gonna be set regardless of what we do. It won't be before the 19th, no matter
No, it
what.
can't, it's because
You don't have the time.
we
for
don't
the
have
notice.
time because we delayed notice from somebody, so.
I believe that the 19th makes the most sense because that's the only thing that's going to give Dennis's office the time that's necessary. Because we don't want to see these on the 19th, like we saw. We gave them 1 week till today, and it took up until today to get it to us. So if we get the information, what I think is we need to get everything to them. And I would suggest that we try to unofficially set a date of the 11th, next Wednesday, giving them an extra day so that they can get it out to us by the end of the week. Does that make sense, Dennis?
Yeah, it does, because we were getting items from, not only from you folks, but we were getting items from different members of the public that we're trying to digest. So it becomes all this information is trying to digest it, put it together, but that would be fine. This will be first priority for us.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense.
But
So,
we will,
yeah.
but I will tell you this much, the noise ordinance, that is not a zoning issue, so I can still go forward with that. If you have comments, and still have that adopted at the township meeting, 25th or 26th, whatever day we meet, the regular meeting. The other two MPCs, I have to go through a different process. Well, I'll ask the board to schedule a meeting on the 31st. Ms. Ecker said she's gonna call the school tomorrow. If she can find out, I don't wanna go back and wait for another problem with the delay like I had with the situation. If you can call, you have my phone number, call me to tell me what they tell you.
I will. If it's available, I'll reserve it and then we'll go.
The 31st at the two,
6:30.
it's the second Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month, whatever that is,
Right.
at 6:30.
Okay.
And I'm suggest to the board, if you're capable of doing it and you have comments to make them on the track change document that you have, because then you can see your comments. Because what I'm going to ask of the solicitor is to take as all, he can't take every, because there's going to be contradictory comments. So don't expect that once you put a comment in there, that's what's going to be in the ordinance, the draft ordinance. So put the comments in there and of what you want and maybe why you want them. And then we'll see what Dennis is able to put together, and then that's what we can vote on or recommend or not
Okay.
on the 19th. But either way, whether we recommend it or we don't recommend it, it is what it is. It's gonna come up
Yep.
on the 31st. Okay. So I think we need a motion to table until is the 19th work, Kristen?
Yes. There are no other
I'll make a motion, I'll make a motion
Oh,
to,
okay.
go ahead, I'll make a
No.
motion to table the consideration of the draft data center ordinance, the draft battery energy storage systems ordinance, and the draft noise ordinance until the 19th, with the intent that we get all of our comments to the solicitor's office by March 11th.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Will that be a public meeting on the 19th?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because we're going to vote at that, so it won't just be like an agenda. We'll make a one way or the other. Someone will either make a motion or not to recommend it, but
So you'll give me the comments on the 11th?
by the 11th.
And I will have those over to you by the 13th?
And you'll put it using what the best judgment you can get that's here, and then if we don't like it when we see it, we'll vote on what we want changed.
All right, so I'll have it to
Do
you by
your
the
best
13th.
ESP.
Okay?
Okay,
And
All right.
Secretary's gonna check with the school.
okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.